it got to the point where they started to DM me on Instagram. And I'd be like, okay, I'll think about it. And then they started emailing me.
Wait, what are they emailing you?
They're emailing me. They're like, we've been asking you to review this house and you still haven't posted. Can you hurry up and do your job? And I was like, oh.
Your job?
I didn't know this was my job. And so that's when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. I'm like, okay, I think I can try to do something with this.
I'm Susan Yara, and welcome to My Life Online. We're going to have a lot of fun and learn a lot together. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I mostly share beauty and skincare content, so naturally, people think that's the type of content that I consume online. But my favorite type of content to watch is interior design, which is how I found our next guest. Sicard is a luxury lifestyle expert, and even though he doesn't have an interior design background, his interior design videos are some of my favorite to watch on TikTok. In this episode of My Life Online, he'll share a little bit about his background and also take us through a rendering of my own home design. This is my true home design, so this is happening right now, and we're gonna get to see what he thinks of it. If you have a chance to watch this episode, I highly recommend it, but I'm sure you'll also enjoy just listening.
All right.
Hi.
Hello, Sicard. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
I have been a big fan for a while now.
I've been a wild fan of yours.
Oh, my goodness.
For a long time now.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about your background, because you obviously were you intending to be a content creator? Did you think that you were going to start posting? And
oh my God, I was so anti-content creation. It was so bad. Not content creation. It was during COVID when TikTok started to become a really big thing.
Yep. So this is like height of lockdown.
I was right. I was one of those people that was like, I would never download that app, like ever. Why would I?
Like you didn't have TikTok at all?
No.
You were so snobby.
I was so snobby because I was like, because that was around the time when it was mainly for like comedic purposes and jokes and stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, no. And then everyone kept sending me videos and I would watch them and I was like, wow, this is such a specific humor. It's good. It's okay. I'll download it. I'll see.
So you eased into it.
Very slowly.
Very
and then
skeptical.
Got really obsessed.
Really obsessed. Like how long did it take?
Probably a month and a half.
And then you were all in.
I was all in. It was bad. Because then you start to be able to track your hours on that app. And I was like, oh.
I don't even look.
I've never had an app where time flies so easily. Mm-hmm. It was scary. But no, I never thought to get into content creation. It was actually a very interesting shift because I went to college I was a dancer. I was a ballet dancer.
Okay.
For a couple years. I got my bachelor's in dance and human movement. I got signed to a contemporary dance company. The only thing is I graduated February of 2020. Got signed the day after graduation, started touring, and then we all know what happened next.
Yeah, well, yeah. Everybody's hopes and dreams were dashed.
Yeah. But it was actually a good thing for me. I would say.
Exactly. You know what? I think we're starting to see the stories, the silver lining stories of all that lockdown drama.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so then you go and post this first video.
Prior to that, I was posting things about fashion. I was reviewing like carpet stuff because I love fashion. And then I have an obsession with Pinterest. Mm-hmm. So I would post my Pinterest boards. But that interior design review video was really the one that like blew up and started this world that I'm in now where people love my takes.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting. And I've built such an incredible community that I'm so happy to have around me constantly.
What do you think it was about that first review, that interior design review, that caught everyone's attention? You knew something was special about this, right?
I knew something was special about it because of the commentary. I wasn't used to having that many comments and people asking things of me because then they would be like, oh, review this home, or I think you would love this. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it.
So in a lot of ways, your community was almost dictating what they wanted from you.
Absolutely. Oh, and they knew exactly what they wanted and they know what time they wanted. Because when I first actually started and people started requesting things of me, I still wasn't looking to be a content creator. Yeah. That wasn't even something that was kind of in my head. Because the video blew up, but I mean, I didn't gain like 50,000 followers.
Right.
I was still very, very humble. So
Wait, are we not humble anymore?
Oh, no, we're still really humble, but you know, when you start to get the numbers, you're like, okay, I think I can do something out of this. But I wasn't at that point.
Okay.
So
you just felt like this is a one-off.
I was like, yeah, this is just what it is. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where they started to DM me on Instagram. And I'd be like, okay, I'll think about it. And then they started emailing me.
Wait, what are they emailing you?
They're emailing me. They're like, we've been asking you to review this house and you still haven't posted. Can you hurry up and do your job? And I was like, oh,
Your job.
I didn't know this was my job. And so that's when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And I'm like, okay, I think I can try to do something with this. Let's do at least 5 or 6 more reviews and see if anything else sticks. If not, then I'll just mind my business.
Right.
But then they all kind of ended up doing really well. And I saw the world it would exist in, because that was important to me as well.
Yep.
I didn't want to start making, because when I started making it, people also started requesting of me to do houses that I hated and do like negative commentary, which isn't really my thing. Because even houses that I do that I'm not absolutely obsessed with, I try my best to bring it into a light that's very honest to me, just because I think there's enough negativity in certain kind of review videos that are very focused on that. And that's its own thing and it exists. I don't really care to be a part of it. And so after doing a couple of videos and seeing how people reacted and knowing that they wanted to be here because of how I am doing it, I was okay with continuing on. Because if it was just going to be a matter of, this is great, but can you just be negative for once? Or like, can you do more negative? If that was like a continuous thing, then I wasn't going to continue on with it. But
you know what I think is really interesting about your following, and this is very specific to TikTok especially, is that you don't necessarily have a massive following that like literally follows you, but your videos have lots of views. Yeah.
Yes, I think my next big one, which was probably like my first million viewed video, was this. I could be so wrong, but I think it was this gorgeous countryside home, this French countryside home that had a chunk of it on the roof that was missing.
I don't know if I saw this one.
It has like a trapeze inside of it. It was crazy. It was actually, it was a really beautiful home because the owners of the home built the home with their daughter in mind, who was wheelchair disabled. And so it was so dope the way that they constructed it, because it was this old townhome that was missing half of its roof, but they didn't cover the roof. They built around it and made it a part of its identity, which was really beautiful. And it was just such a beautiful home, and I was so enamored by it. And I think that's what happens is when I start filming, you can hear how passionate I am about certain things, because what I try my best to do is to film immediately after I see the pictures or the video, because I don't want to analyze it too much. I don't want to go too far into too much detail where it seems like I'm trying to sell something to you. I like to record like on the fly, which is why sometimes I sound like I don't know. People tell me all the time, it's like, this sounds so romantic for you. And I'm like, it kind of is.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's partially why I like it. This is you, and your content embodies what I originally liked about TikTok, in that, you know, you feel like a friend. Your friend is like telling you about something and you're in it. You're like, whether you agree or not, you're feeling it. You know, you want to hear this from your friend. It's like a story coming from them. In your case, it's a story that you're telling through these images of interior design of homes or fashion, whatever it is that you're doing. But it's truly what I like about your content is, you know, you are taking us through these images, and I'm like, yeah, I feel this too. I don't have to be a professional to understand what you're saying.
And that was the nail I really wanted to hit after I realized the audience that I had and what I wanted to do, because I'm fully aware that I am not a professional within that space, and I'm not trying to come off as that. But when I first started doing videos and I was reading through the comments, there were so many people, majority of the people were not professional interior designers. We're not in the world of interior design, but they were so open to trying to understand their personal taste. That's what I started realizing, is a lot of times within my videos, people would say, if you didn't describe it the way you did, I probably would have never liked this home. Or I wouldn't think that this would have been my style. People always say that I hold their hands and walk them through a home. And that's what I try to do, is because sometimes
you hold our hand and walk us through a home.
Because I think sometimes when you're not surrounded within the world of something, because I surround myself with beauty all this. I love homes. I love fashion. I love all things that I consider beauty, and I really delve in it all the time. But certain people, they know that, I think they like interior design. They're not really sure. They don't spend their days just looking at houses like I do. And so they get really nervous about allowing themselves to understand what they like and what they don't like. And they think it's going to be complicated because a lot of times you will watch videos and you have these professionals and they are talking in terms you don't understand. You get really intimidated. You shy away. You feel like, oh, I thought I liked it, but the way they described it, I think I should hate it, or you know what I mean? And so I try my best to keep it in the way that I would want it to be said to me. Also, I try sometimes to review homes that aren't, because you'll hear me say it's not really my personal taste, but here are things that I really admire, here are things that I really love, because I also want to help people realize that it doesn't have to be for you in order for you to get inspired in some way. And so I just love seeing people put their dreams in front of me. Like I get chills right now.
I know. I'm
thinking about it. I love that. I love that.
I love that too. I think I'm also just very intrigued by you because you are young and you already have this very defined sense of design and self and the things that you're interested in. Then where does this come from?
It definitely comes from dance. I will always give credit to college. That 2.5 years that I did there, where I got to really delve into the world of artistry and understanding movement and how everything in this world consists of movement and beauty and interpretation. And so I see that even interior design, fashion, all these things, the way that I feel and I gain emotion from them is because of dance. I remember being in dance classes and they would make us do prompts where it's like, dance as a table or dance as a chair, things you would think is insane. And then you have to really, really sit with yourself and internalize and just become and experience things outside of the human body. And it really helped me with being able to attach myself to emotion in a different way. And so I think that's why when I speak about certain things, people are like, babes, it's just a chair. I'm like, I know it's just a chair, but look at the beautiful structuring of that chair. Look at the design within that chair, the story that chair is telling you that you may not catch right now, but when you sit in it, when you touch it, when you put it in a room, the way it completely shifts something, that is movement and that is emotion. And I think that's where that has always come from for me, is dance.
Yeah.
Such a huge foundation for me.
How about in your background, like your family? Did you have like a parent or somebody that just really inspired you like this too? Or is this truly unique to you?
I would say I feel like everyone, all the loved ones within my life inspire me in many ways and add on to it. But I will also give myself the credit of saying that at a very young age, I've always been super hard-headed about who I thought I was or who I was in that moment, and no one could ever talk me out of it. And I'm talking about like 4 years old. I can think all the way back to being 4 or 5 years old, and people, of course, commenting on, he talks really funny or he walks really funny and he's so feminine, blah, blah, blah. And usually when you get so many of those comments, especially from like adults, as a child, it never bothered me, it never made any difference. Because I'm like, you can't feel what's in here, but it's true and it's honest to me. And so I've always been able to trust in that. And I recently, with my therapist, shout out to you, was talking about how I look back on my younger self and I was so much stronger and confident then than I am now, I would say. I'm working back to that point. But I was so tough. You could not convince me out of anything that I wanted to do or I wanted to love or I wanted to be. And I think that really helped with me really understanding my taste in things. And then, of course, having my dads. I have 2 dads. So they really influenced the way that I see the world and finding the honesty in the things that I love and don't love. My grandmother, Queen, love her. She is everything to me, and she's very, very brave and honest. Like, she's currently working on finishing her tattoo sleeve. She gets her hair colored. Like, she lives the world in the way that is most honest to her, and it's so inspiring to me. And I will forever continue on in her footsteps.
I love that. You know what just stood out to me? And I say this to people all the time. I don't know if you've actually considered this, but I grew up with nothing. Like, I grew up super poor, mixed ethnicity family. My mom's Korean, my dad's Mexican. Like, in the country, like, basically like nothing, okay? Whenever people tell me they have imposter syndrome, I always take a step back and I think about this. I'm like, have I ever had imposter syndrome? And I can tell you, even though I was never supposed to be like the kid who thought they were supposed to be in the room or should be listened to. Like, I absolutely always felt that way. Like, I always felt, whether people were like, she talks too much, she's too bossy, she's too whatever, right? It didn't matter. You were going to hear from me.
Absolutely.
I was going to make it. I had delusional dreams. I remember walking around like a family barbecue. I was like 12 years old. Everybody in my family, really poor, like, just very like salt of the earth people, And I kept telling everyone, yeah, I'm going to be a millionaire someday. And they'd be like, oh, like,
clock it now.
Yeah. They would be like, they just thought it was cute. Like, that's cute that she says that. I had one cousin who he was like a uncle cousin because he was older than me, who told everybody, no, like Susan might be a millionaire someday, because when you're growing up poor, you just don't believe that that's even possible, right? For the most part. But I always knew that I was going to make it. And to me, when you're poor, your definition of success usually is around money because you want that. That's what you see as, at least is what success is. And so I remember I had this cousin who he actually like walked me around. He's like, you're going to do what you say.
I love that. It really does, as Lady Gaga once said, it really does take one person.
Yeah.
There could be a million people in a room. You just need one person to say it back to you. Because even for me, I believed it, but it was really, really nice, those moments where I had one person just saying it back to me and being like, I see it for you.
So where do you think this is going to take you? What are we manifesting?
Manifesting my own show where I go and do these reviews in person. Very much so still within my own style. I'd love to travel nationwide and, of course, eventually internationally, just going and seeing incredible homes, incredible apartments, because I would also not just want it to be these ultra luxurious homes, because you'd be so impressed how certain individuals who are, limited in funds are doing some incredible things with interior design. And a lot of them are my followers who send me their stuff. I'm very thankful to have followers who trust me with giving them advice for their homes now too. And so I would love to travel with my own crew and kind of make a show out of it. And then eventually in a couple years or whenever life wants to bring it to my doorstep, I'd love to be an editor for a magazine focused on interior design or fashion.
Yeah.
But I'm open to letting the world lead me where I am needed. So
I love it. See, I'm telling you, you're very clear about what you want. How old are you? Do you mind me asking?
25.
Yeah, no, I was not that clear. I mean, actually, no, I take that back. I was really clear in that I wanted to be in the news, be a journalist, and be on camera. So I was on that trajectory, but even then, I feel like it kept evolving, So I really do admire how clear you are about what you're trying to achieve. So we're gonna shift the direction a little bit, and we're gonna talk about my house.
Yes.
We're gonna do something fun. You've got your phone up. This is exactly what Sicard does. If you have never watched his videos, obviously there's other types of content, right, on your TikTok channel. But the thing that made me fall in love with his content is the way he just talks about interior design and walks us through a home. So I'll throw out there, my designers, Kobel and Co., Mallory and Elizabeth, are equally excited and terrified to hear what you think of their renderings.
God, no.
But I'll give some context. We bought our house 2 years ago, and it turned out to be, I mean, I hate all these like HGTV shows because like they just make it seem like renovating a house is going to be so much easier and
Blink
cheaper.
of an eye.
Oh yeah. No, we're 2 years in, the permitting, the getting the design right, choosing materials, all of that stuff has led to 2 years later, we are here. The design process didn't obviously take that long, but it's still a process.
All the in-betweens are ridiculous.
Yeah. And what I really love about the team is that they really did just mood boards with me. They weren't like, tell us exactly the things you want in the house. They were like, no, we're going to do 2 sessions of almost like mood boards with you.
I love that.
So they really, because I was the kind of person, and this is probably why I really gravitated to your content, where I couldn't tell you what my style was. I couldn't tell you what kind of home style I like, right? I just know what I like.
You just know what you like if you see it.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's kind of the
yeah.
exercise that they did with me, and this is where we ended up. So this is a rendering of our kitchen, kind of like our kitchen area, like just really the living spaces, basically. And so because it's a rendering, then we don't have like finalized furniture, all that kind of stuff. You can't like see all the colors perfectly, but I think it gives a really good idea of where we ended up. So I'm going to let you take it away unless you have a question. I'm going to let you get into the mood, into the Sicard vibe, because you would never be interrupted while your video, like in your video. So I just want you to run with it.
Okay, starting off in this kitchen, I cannot begin to tell you the obsession that I'm having right now with the twin windows on each side of the range, mainly because of the symmetry happening with the pendants above the island. Now, the main reason why I'm really in love with this is because thinking about being outside of those windows on the property and peeking in at nighttime when the light is just hitting perfectly right and you can see how beautifully symmetrical that's going to look from outside of that home. For a stalker like myself who loves to look in beautiful homes, I'm all about making sure that the experience is symmetrical in all ways. So this is an incredible detail that I think some people do not care to do. That's your own thing, but I love that it's being done here. But pulling your focus into the fridge, the detailing on that knob, I love that. I'm obsessed with that. I don't know what knob that is exactly, but I've never really seen it before in a fridge. And I love that that is being used. It's a great little detail. But to go to the star of the show, the star of this kitchen to me is these stools. Custom, I believe they're going to be. Stunning. I love that. Is that leather? Wood?
It's leather.
Leather. That's stunning. The colors are beautiful. I love how light and airy that this space is. Because you guys know I'm a big fan. If you're going to do a kitchen that is colored, chances are that is a nightmare to begin with, okay? So for a space like that where it's going to be community driven, I love when people go with a cleaner, lighter space to kind of let, the colors of the people in your life kind of flow in rather than stuffing them with a godforsaken color. So honestly, it's stunning. Moving next to the image or the shot of the range, and the stove is stunning. Oh, wow. That is beautiful. The conch? Oh, God bless. That is beautiful. The marble is stunning. I'm just really loving the details of each of these drawers because I like that they're just not your typical handles. I love that.
Did you notice the marble around the windows?
No. Great. Talking about detailing on that, I'm also loving the crown molding on the ceiling and how beautifully and round that is rather than just being sharp. I think that adds a lot of romance to the space. But moving back to the marbling around the windows, that's a great detail. It continues on so beautifully. And I really want to pull the focus into the third image, which shows a little bit more of the island. I love the wood choice for this island, mainly because it is such a lovely soft wood, because I feel like oftentimes when you do a white kitchen and you want to go with a bright and airy, it can be really jarring because all of the choices are just meant to like, ooh, it's a bright kitchen. They'll do like a white island, a completely white counter. It becomes a little too much, but the softness of this wood that complements the gold detailing of the pendants, so beautiful. It feels like a nice little hug. I want to walk in this kitchen barefoot like early morning with the sun just beaming through. I feel like it would just, everything would accept sunlight so well in this kitchen. That's the thing I love the most. I like nothing would go against the nature around. If you're going to have that much light coming in, making sure that the detailing in your space will accept it and not necessarily bounce it off. And I think that's done really well here. And we cannot skip over the fact that there is a breakfast nook. I love a little nook. I love a tiny little nook. I feel like everyone really refuses to just put in if you have the ability, you need a nook. I don't care how you do it, what you put in there, but a nook that you feel like, because there's something about, I'm all about hugs in a space, in emotion in a space. A kitchen is meant to be like a family space or a space that brings in community. So having these little pockets where it feels like even if you're by yourself, you feel surrounded in a way by the architecture or by the design, that is the genius of a kitchen. That is the genius of that like space. And I love the colors being chosen. I love that pendant. And I love that it is in the kitchen as well. I feel like a lot of times breakfast nooks are a little bit further from the kitchen, or it's in a different space or a different room, and you have to travel out of whatever is happening in the kitchen. So keeping it all in one space really keeps that integrity of like family. I adore this. And then of course, all of the molding, all the molding around it. So French, chic, very chic. That sink, is that a wet bar? Or is that just
Yep.
Oh,
Wine bar, all of it's right there. It's a little kitchen, a little sink. There's also behind the cabinets is our coffee.
and this brings my question. Why would you not have a window at your wet bar? Can we answer that? Because this is what I want to see. And there's the golden pendant there. It's beautiful. It's gentle, but I know at nighttime, some candles there, a lovely bread, a gorgeous man on your hand. She's living the dream. I love it. I love it. I really do adore this. Like, This is beautiful.
Thank you.
I love how much like entry points for light that there is. The doors, the windows. And it's the perfect gold too.
It's like an antique brass.
It's like an antique. I love that. Because I was going to say it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. Everything in here is definitely not cheap.
You can tell. And this is just a rendering. And you know exactly where I'm going to next. You know exactly where I'm going to next. This dark, deep mauve of sorts. Because you guys know what I say. If you're going to have a clean, bright, white home, because that is your style, and we love and we support that always and forever, there should always be a point of intrigue within your home that kind of lets your audience or the people in your life feel a little, a mood shift of sorts. And I think this is so moody. I love that. Also, that pendant is stunning. But pay attention also to the slanted bookshelf with the lighting. Great little detail right there. Great detail if you have like coffee table books that you really love. Because I feel like people always just leave them, or like magazines, and all you see is the cover. But there's something about having spaces where you can open it up and it's slanted so that people can actually see it as they pass. And you can, depending on what you're having, for example, like you have like a wine night or you have a different event, you can flip the pages to something that is very appropriate for that moment in time. And it's such a tiny, tiny little detail, but I promise you it will change everything.
And by the way, those are hidden cabinets at the bottom where we're hiding all the like kids stuff, like games and all that stuff that we don't want out.
Now that is genius. Cover the mess in gorgeous. Okay? Cover the mess in gorgeous, because I know all of us, we have a messy closet. We have a messy something. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be moody and gorgeous. Now for the living space, is this the full design?
This is the family room.
The family room?
I think we'll have probably a normal TV up. But yeah, this is the thoughts so far of the family room.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I feel like if
This
you
is where
have
we
the
watch
ability
TV.
to do, if you have the ability to do a family room, but also having like a formal living where you can, go a little further, a little nicer, because you come from a POC household, there is a room you just kids, you don't step in there, okay? That is not for you. Go to the family room. That is for mommy and daddy to show their high personal taste. And guests, take your shoes off. No.
We're Asian in this household, so we have our shoes off from the moment you walk in that door. Yeah, we're not going to be showing it in this, but because we don't have the rendering for it yet, but we do have a whole other sitting room with like a fireplace. We have a whole entry room, all that stuff. This is our family room where we truly sit and watch TV.
I love that. I feel like everyone, if you have the ability to do so, you really should, just because you want that space that consistently has the energy of relaxation and calm. Because sometimes it's hard to shift that when you only have one room dedicated to family and TV, and then you will need to like switch it up so quickly for guests and parties and events. And you can do it, but if you have the ability to separate the two, also, it's just more fun to design that way.
That was so fun. Thank
congratulations. You're about to have a gorgeous, gorgeous home.
Thank you so much. It's going to take a little while. We have to move out, but we're excited about it. So that's all that matters.
Also, lesson learned, like she was saying earlier, design in home, like completely redoing a home is not an easy process. Don't let those shows fool you. Do not let those shows fool you.
The time, the amount of money, double it.
Especially when you want to do it right.
Yes. This is a home that we're not flipping. This is a home that we're actually going to live in for a while. Something I really appreciated that my designers did with us also, besides doing the mood board, was they asked about how we live, like how we use this house. So the house actually has been almost completely changed around. Rooms have been completely changed around. It's partially why it's going to take forever, is that we're moving things around according to how we live.
And that's the smartest way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's because you hired a really, really good team. Because I feel like a lot of people oftentimes will see a home, will see a design, especially if you're not that familiar with design and your own personal taste. You can sometimes just say, oh, that looks really nice. I'll just do that. Point blank, period. Not even thinking about the way you existed in the space that you love now, or spaces that you have loved before. Thinking about even hotel rooms, or if you've traveled and stayed somewhere, was like, the way I existed in this space for this period of time was so nice, or so comfortable, or was so easy. Always take marks of that to implement in the future from when you are designing a home, because it's not enough to see something and say that is perfect, because it's perfect visually for you, but it may not be perfect practicality-wise for you.
It might not be practical, yeah. And that was actually what they did. That's exactly what they did.
So smart.
Yeah, like what I thought was going to be my office is now a mudroom. So
see?
And
you have to factor in if you have like children, or if you want to have children, or your lifestyle as well. If you're a host, all these things are like such a big deal.
Sicard, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I hope you come back one of these days.
I really do hope I come back too. I had an incredible time, truly.
Thank you. And I did too. And I cannot wait to continue watching you grow.
And I cannot wait to continue just hopefully seeing you. It's a pleasure always. Just the face. Look at it. It's a 10. It's incredible.
Thank you, Sicard.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of My Life Online. If you enjoyed it, make sure to follow, rate, and review, and also share it with a friend so we can continue making great episodes for you. You can also find me on social media. I'm at Susan Yara, and if you love all things beauty, especially skincare, make sure to check out my YouTube channel, Mixed Makeup. A big thank you to Spotify for hosting the interview portion of this episode, and I'll talk to you soon.